Hey, I'm Jana, the little sister.
And I'm Jeff, her big brother. Welcome to Sibling Rivalry, a podcast about our favorite sport, baseball.
This week on Sibling Rivalry Baseball, we're donning our mask and gloves.
Is that for virus protocols or the snow? Well, while we figure that out, let's slide into the SRBB headlines.
Roy Williams, a member of the College Basketball Hall of Fame and the Basketball Hall of Fame, retired after 33 years as a head coach in college basketball. He led his alma mater, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels, to 3 national championships. And while coaching at Kansas, he took the Jayhawks to 14 consecutive NCAA tournaments. With a total of 903 wins, Williams took his team to 9 Final Fours in his careers at Kansas and North Carolina. Williams is the 5th NCAA Men's Division I head coach to reach 900 wins and the fastest head coach to reach that total in the fewest number of games. He's the only coach in NCAA history to have led 2 different programs to at least 4 Final Fours each, and the only basketball coach in NCAA history to have 400 or more victories at 2 NCAA Division I schools.
The Baylor University Bears upended Gonzaga University 86-70 to earn their first NCAA tournament title and to end the Zags' perfect season.
Rob Manfred, Commissioner of Major League Baseball, has decided to move the All-Star Game and Draft from Atlanta, Georgia. The All-Star Game has been moved to Coors Field in Denver, Colorado.
The Vancouver Canucks became the first Canadian NHL team to postpone games due to positive COVID test. 16 of 22 players tested positive. The Dallas Stars, Buffalo Sabres, and New Jersey Devils all had games postponed due to positive tests. The NHL expects the Canucks to complete their full schedule, making up the missed games. You can find these and past week's headlines on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Remember to rate and subscribe wherever you listen, and tell a friend to listen to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Well, we made it through the first weekend of the Major League season. Pretty incredible weekend. Everybody played. Wait, what? Hold on. I'm getting something offset here. What not everybody played?
No.
Huh? Okay, you can stop waving your hands at me. I get it. That was not a correct statement.
We wanted it to be a correct statement.
Here we thought we were moving forward. We had a full weekend on time, except that COVID reared its ugly head once again. And all we could think when we saw that was, here we go again. And this time it wasn't the Marlins or the Cardinals. It was the Nationals who caused the problem. And what I think was worse was, had the Nationals been playing the Marlins or playing somebody else, it wouldn't have mattered. But they were playing the most anticipated debut of a team this season in the New York Mets. So the Mets fans, the Metropolitan fans were ready. They got Francisco Lindor, who there was big news right before the series was going to start about him. They have great pitching. They were ready to put this together. Steve Cohen going all in. And sorry, it's all postponed due to COVID. Nats player tested positive. They ended up with 9 players and 1 staff in quarantine. I think a lot of that was from the contact tracing, and the series canceled, rescheduled, and it's also going to affect the Nationals' next series out. I think they're going to try to schedule in some double headers to get those taken care of, but I believe that and we'll talk about that next week, if they finally got to play, and if there's any more COVID stuff.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
I hope not.
I'm
really
hoping
hope
not too. Marcus Stroman tweeted, excitement right down the drain when that was all canceled.
I can't imagine a fan base that was more, we were all excited for opening day, but a fan base like the Mets, they were just chomping at the bit. They had Jacob deGrom that was going to pitch, Francisco Lindor at shortstop, the whole thing. And then the COVID Nationals, the Washington Nationals, they They screwed it all up. And it's interesting because we don't know which players, a lot of times they'll say who it is, or players will say, yeah, I have it. But there's some indication that it's possibly maybe John Lester, Kyle Schwarber, Josh Harrison, and Alex Avila are not expected to play when they play the Braves. So
if they play the Braves.
If they play, right, if they play
because
the Braves.
I believe that the Monday game was already postponed.
Right.
So,
and I mentioned Alex Avila. He's a catcher. The Nationals signed Jonathan Lucroy to a deal, probably just a 1 year as a catcher. So that just gives more fire to the, fuel to the fire, I guess you would say. I always get those wrong.
More flames to the fuel.
That's right. That maybe a catcher's involved. Or
you got to strike the iron while it's hot.
That is exactly. I always say that, and I stand by that.
Mike Rizzo, the general manager of the Nationals, said, I would say that it's unfortunate that this happened right at opening day, but is it any worse than it happening in the middle of the season when you've played half a season? And while he's not wrong in what he said, he sounds stupid.
Well, the other thing that sounded really stupid is he said, I am positive that it was not because they want players and, staff were not following protocol. They were following protocol. Okay. If they were following protocol, how did they get COVID? How did that happen?
Right.
So
John Lester and Kyle Schwarber must have brought it with them from the Cubs.
Right.
And just held on to it until that last minute when it just burst out.
Yeah. Chemical warfare, I guess, or something like that.
Here's one way to beat the Mets.
We'll just have
get COVID. No, you want to beat the Mets, you got to give them COVID.
Exactly. Well, the thing is with the Nationals, it just again, opening day was great, but that just put a damper on it.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I not the Nationals, the Mets maybe, but
the Nationals are. I was a little bit interested because I wanted to see what the Mets did, but the Nationals have an interesting look this season too. So unfortunately, we still got that little bit of a stain on the start of the season. And where did it start in? The NL East, just like last year.
Yep, again.
So what we thought was going to start off was positives because there were fans in the stands. We got to see some really cool, incredible things, which we'll talk about a little later in around the league, especially. But we thought we were going to talk about these positives. Like I said, more people in the stands, things getting better. And one of the things about some of the protocols being relaxed for teams that are getting the vaccine.
Yeah. So teams that are, so they have tiers. MLB has tiers. So the new protocols would apply to fully vaccinated tier 1 individuals or teams where 85% of those tier 1 individuals are fully vaccinated. So they get their shot. There's 2 shots. They get the second shot. Then 2 weeks after, then they're considered
unless they
fully
get the
vaccinated.
Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. Individuals who meet that requirement can gather without mask in hotel rooms, carpool together, play cards on airplanes, eat at restaurants, meet outdoors while on the road with anyone of their choosing, and stay at personal residences when traveling, among other things.
I thought about that because there was 2 or 3 times, especially when players went to Texas. Clayton Kershaw lives near the stadium in Arlington. He couldn't go home.
Right.
And they were there, a few times. There were a couple of other guys that were family was there 5-10 miles away from the stadium, and they couldn't even go see them because of the protocols. Now, when they come through Texas, they can stop in and stay at home for a couple of days for a series. So that one I thought, well, that's pretty cool because
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that live in Arizona from all over the league, and so that, if they're playing the Diamondbacks. The other thing about this is that individuals who are vaccinated will also not have to wear masks when exercising. They don't have to inform a compliance officer when leaving the team hotel. They have the option of decreasing testing to twice weekly and will not have to quarantine if they've been in close contact with someone who was diagnosed with COVID-19, as long as they are asymptomatic. So teams that get 85% of their tier 1 individuals vaccinated no longer have to wear a mask in the dugout and the bullpen. They won't have to utilize the tracking device. They can restore clubhouse amenities like pool tables, play video games, that kind of stuff.
saunas, steam rooms, all the stuff that breeding grounds, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of players, once more states are opening it up now where it's, 16 and above can get the vaccine. So I know managers are encouraging their players to get it. Still a personal choice. But
Right.
I heard Max Scherzer say, well, I follow the science and I'm going to get the vaccine. So
I got mine in a back alley.
yeah, with
Kinda
the
dark,
rusty needle, I think.
rusty
Didn't you?
needle, and I'm not even sure because there was a story about people getting the vaccine that really there wasn't any vaccine, that the syringes were empty, so they just got some air in their shot, and whoever gave it apologized. They didn't know how that happened.
Was
So
it like placebo?
I guess
You get the
it was
placebo.
right. Let's see what happens to you.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what? One of the things about the Nationals, and this kind of bugged me, I guess, last year too, but it was a shortened season, is there still, I don't want to say you punish people because they get sick, but there's really no repercussions. And the Nationals really have done a number on the East right now because they started out with, they were going to play the Mets and now they're supposed to play the Braves. And so there's teams that are just there. They're sitting there. And then follow on, Dodgers are supposed to be playing. I think their home opener is with the Nationals.
Yep.
How is that gonna, are they gonna make it there? I think they will because they've had to do some scrambling like the Marlins did. Maybe not to the same extent where they got a whole new team, but they've had to call people up, Jonathan Lucroy. But I just wish there was, something, some kind of, I don't know, fine, penalty. I don't know.
Yeah, there should be.
Obviously, there was,
especially now.
yeah.
After a whole year of it, why does this happen? It's not a matter of how. We know how it could have happened. Is why. Why? Who brought it in? How, if they're following protocol, every other team was following protocol. They didn't get it.
Right. Well,
29 other teams didn't get it.
Exactly. Well, and going back to the headlines with the Canucks, I went back and looked at the NHL rules or their protocols, but their protocols are it's recommended that you wear a mask. It's recommended you don't eat out at a restaurant. It's recommended, but so that's no surprise. Obviously, nobody was really following. It's a suggestion. But MLB is no, you have to quarantine for this many days. You have to wear a mask. You have to do this. So there really should be.
One of the things that came out of that Canuck story is they said, well, there's two different rules for the different countries. And this is what surprised me because Canada has been more strict than the U.S. as a whole.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of surprised that the Canadian team got it. But they said, it was a matter of time before a Canadian team got it because there's different rules for the two different countries. That's why the Blue Jays probably aren't going to play in Canada this season at all again, because they're more strict about the comings and goings. They won't let anybody in to play them from the U.S. There's that travel, there'd be no way to make it work. They'd have to come in, and I know there's some updates where if they have negative tests or they've got their shots, things like that could help. But otherwise, they'd have to quarantine for like 3 to 7 days before they could play. Well, that's not going to work.
It brings into one of the things I was thinking about is now that, the Blue Jays probably, are going to be in Florida for the rest of the season. What about at some point? I mean, I know that this isn't going to be forever, but what if the Blue Jays move somewhere else in the United States, pull out of Canada? Because Canada's been really, last season they weren't able to play. They had to play in Buffalo. This season they have to play in Florida. I mean, I get it. You want to, with the different rules in the country, but I just was thinking, will they be the Toronto Blue Jays? How much longer?
Maybe they could just move down and move to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Or why not move to like Vermont or New Hampshire?
They could. I don't know. It was just something I was thinking about, like they're never going to go home. They're a team without a country.
We'll watch that. And by the way, I still refuse to say it right after this time. Dunedin.
Dunedin?
Duh, because it's Florida. Dunedin.
Okay.
Dunedin is how you say Dunedin. Dunedin. I think it should just be Dunedin.
Dunedin.
There's sand dunes.
Yeah.
Maybe they can change it to wherever that toxic waste pond that's about to break out and flood a neighborhood. Maybe they can change it to wherever that is.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever reservoir.
And change their names from the Blue Jays
is.
to the Wastewaters or something like that. The Dunedin toxic waste. It's
their
like
logo could be really cool.
No, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it could be like, because that sounds like a minor league team.
You're right.
That could be fun. The majors should do something like that. We should spice it up a little bit. All right. Well, we'll keep watching on this. Hopefully, this will be the only. I'm sure somebody else along the way is going to probably test positive somewhere. Things relax. More people in the stands. Things happen. Something will happen. Hopefully, it won't cause a big problem and we won't see any more games being postponed. I think they just wanted to prove the point about 7-inning doubleheaders.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
So the one thing about opening weekend is every game holds the weight of the world. Even though there's 162 total games, if your team comes out and has a bad opening weekend, the sky is falling, the world is over, what happened to my team? It's lunacy how it is, but we all overreact. And not just about our own team, about all of them. Oh, I thought this team was supposed to be it. Or, oh my goodness, the Orioles are going to the series this year. And the Dodgers are no exception to that rule. So in the opening weekend, they start Thursday. They head up to the site of the All-Star game this season and take on the Rockies. Now, the Dodgers are essentially the same team that won the World Series just a few months ago. And they are the defending champions. So, and because they're still considered the best team in baseball, everybody looks at them and go, especially if they don't have a good game, oh, I thought they were good. They don't look like the best team in baseball. And I think that's what was happening on the first night or the first day on Thursday afternoon in Denver.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day in Denver. As I had mentioned, it was going to be 70 degrees, and it was.
It was. You called it exactly. It was a great baseball day.
It really was. It was great to see the fans in the stands. I saw some things on Twitter, my go-to for baseball things, all things, for the most part. I saw one of the guys, somebody was there, rooting for the Dodgers, and a Rockies fan said, "If you guys are so good, then what are you doing here?" Like, well, it's the baseball game, so.
And if you notice, they're here playing.
Yeah.
And being here in Southern California, not all, Dodger fans or not all fans of one team live right by their team. And I say being in Southern California is because you can go to a Dodger game or an Angel game, and especially the Angels, when the Yankees and the Red Sox are in town, there are a lot of fans either way. We talked about that your first Dodger game being surrounded by Cardinal fans.
Yeah, at Dodger Stadium, it was
right
on the Cardinal nest.
Now, at the time that you went, it was summertime, so it could be people visiting and did that. But we see it all the time that you go to a game, there's going to be a fair amount of fans because people are transplants out here, especially from colder places.
Right. Yeah, the Dodgers lost the first game at Coors Field, and people were in fetal positions across the country in the corner, rocking back and forth because it was the Dodgers have a hangover. It's the World Series hangover.
There was a run on antidepressants, I think I saw on the news.
Oh, yeah. So it was bad. It was really bad. But I think when I was watching that game, yeah, the Dodgers lost. Clayton Kershaw, had an okay outing. But I thought, okay, it's game one. But I was really thinking the Rockies came out to prove, like, hey, we don't need no Nolan Arenado at third base. We got his cousin, Josh Fuentes. And if you don't look close enough, he looks just like Nolan Arenado.
Right. They should have gave him his number.
Yeah. That was my take, is that the Rockies were just, they came out and, swinging, but the Dodgers ended up, taking the series 3-1. So maybe people have cut their dose of the antidepressants in half.
Or, now they're hopelessly addicted to something. So they're holding on to it in case the Dodgers have one of those Dodger-esque losing streaks like they had a couple of years ago, where they'll just all of a sudden look like they can't play baseball. We need to take into account first game back with fans in the stands. It's a beautiful day. They're playing the champions. They came out fired up. And the Dodgers, on the other hand, may very well have just thought, we're playing the worst team in our division next to the Pirates. They're the next to last worst team in the National League, kind of thing. And I think they just underestimated them when they came out. And like you said, Kershaw, so it wasn't a bad outing, but it wasn't spectacular like you wanted from him.
He hit really well. He went 2 for 3.
I'm thinking maybe we'll just move him into a pinch hitter role. He could be two-way in American League parks. He could go Shohei on him.
That'd be awesome.
He hit better than he pitched overall. Yeah. But he didn't pitch badly. It just wasn't that spectacular outing that you would normally. Overall, it was a good series for the Dodgers, especially. They gave up some runs here and there. The Rockies didn't look bad. The Dodgers just looked better in the last 3 games.
Well,
And they didn't even look real bad in the first game. Well, I guess based on them, they did, but
yeah,
they weren't out of it. There were a couple times where they were right there, but there was some weird stuff that happened in this series. And in fact, if you look across baseball, these guys, there were a lot of fundamental things that were going wrong. Base running, fielding, all kinds of stuff. I mean, right in that first game, the weirdest thing, maybe not ever, but at least as far as this Dodger series, and it kind of happened twice in this series, almost.
yeah. The Rockies had their featured actor in this role, and the the Dodgers had some, different some different actors. But yeah, that first game, Cody Bellinger comes up, hits a home run. I think it's home run.
I was looking at the box score. I saw a single. I don't know.
Yeah. So it turns into a home run turns into a single, and he got an RBI.
That's a pretty good single then, an RBI single, because didn't the runner score from first on a single?
He did.
That's talking about
But he also passed Cody Bellinger, making Cody Bellinger out. So imagine you're at the game. We talked about how there are going to be a lot of people that'll be going to games because they want to get out, but they don't really know a lot. And they're like, is this normal? Is that a normal occurrence? Well, in this situation, you see, he was the runner and he's supposed to go forward, but instead he went backward. But he's not supposed to pass that guy.
Right. So let's break it down from the beginning. Cody Bellinger comes up, long fly ball to left field. The left fielder goes up for the ball, and this guy Raimel Tapia, he's a long guy.
Yeah.
He's very long. His arms are really long. He's tall, and he jumps up, and to get the ball, it goes into his glove, but because of the way the motions of him, his arms on the fence, his arm bangs on the fence, the ball comes out of his glove and into the stands. So he was just seconds away from robbing Cody of a home run, falls into the stands. Now Cody's on his way around second base. Justin Turner, that speedster, was in front of him, is past second base, but he sees what looks like a catch. So he has to go back, because if he doesn't, they could double him up if he's got the ball. And Tapia came down off the wall and acted like he was going to throw the ball in. So good move on his part.
Yeah.
Cody is rounding second base, and as Cody's saying, hey, the ball went over the fence, and yelling at the ump, he doesn't notice, apparently, Justin Turner pass him, going back to get back to first base.
Right. And one of the umpires, I think second base umpires, one of them was circling, making the motion for a home run. So, but Justin Turner, he just had his head down because he was sure that ball had been caught. And so he was trying to, I don't know what else he could have done in that situation other than Cody maybe could have stopped at first and waited to see what the ruling was. But even then, I don't know.
I think he thought it was
so
out.
Weird.
Cody messed up, I think, more than Justin.
Right.
Justin should have noticed that Cody was stopped there, but you're right. His head was down. He's like, I just got to get back to first base. Cody should have said, wait, stop. Or as soon as he saw Justin coming back to him, he should have ran back to the bag, because he could have stood on one side of the bag, Justin on the other. They could have both been there. And if it turned out to be an out, then it doesn't matter. And they're good. I think that's the play that changed the game overall, because that took away the first home run of the season for them.
Yep.
and 2 runs right there.
Yeah.
And they just never really put it back together. And there were some bad plays, some throwing errors, more base running issues just in that game, which if I'm sitting there and I only know about the Dodgers, if I don't really know about baseball like we're talking about, and all I've heard is the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, I'm thinking, how?
Or compared to what?
Right. What is so baseball's not that good, huh?
It was just odd, the whole series. But yeah, I agree with you. That kind of just deflated the whole. After that, they just couldn't get back. I mean, they ended up losing 5-8, but they just didn't seem, the gel that holds them together was coming apart. So there was a cat on the field on Friday night that just ran out, lives down there
Tony
somewhere.
Gonsolin didn't play.
It's possible. Maybe he brought his cat. I don't know if that's one of his cat. The cat looked pretty kind of mangy and not very nice, because when the 2 stadium employees went and grabbed him, I'm pretty sure that they got scratched.
That was my first thought. When the guy reached down and grabbed the cat, I thought, ooh, no. I'm trapping that thing. I'm not touching it. I'm staying away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was that. And then on Saturday, they have a fountain in the center field, and it just went off, and they couldn't figure out how to turn it off. Like, right. Nobody had the switch. They didn't know where the switch was. They didn't have the key. I'm not sure, but
the guy who runs it, he either quit and rigged it to go off, or he was out right. sick. And he's the only one with the key. So
right, it's possible. And
the Dodgers eventually did get their first home run of the season, but that too was an adventure, and Tapia was involved in that one as well.
He had a starring role in these type of situations. So Zach McKinstry is up, and he got his first home run as a major leaguer inside the park home run, because what happened again, Tapia used his long body to get up there to get the ball, but this time the ball goes the other way onto the field. So the ball is in play. Tapia came down. He hit the wall pretty hard, because they also had to fix the wall during that game.
And his arm again came down, but this time his arm was farther up on the fence, and it came down like up on his tricep area, which I think jarred his shoulder a bit. The wall, he hit that. The ball comes, like you said, comes off of that glove and back onto the field.
Yep. So it's in play. Tapia is sprawled out on the ground. But then, and McKinstry is just, he doesn't care. He's just flying around the bases. But Tapia has presence of mind, probably because some of his teammates were like, hey, the ball. He gets up, he gets the ball. But by that time, McKinstry had crossed home plate. And it was an inside the park home run. And it was awesome to see. I have watched that clip, I think, 10 times because I just love Zach McKinstry's reaction, and of course the Dodgers dugout and all the players, how excited they were. But Tapia, he's got to get a new glove, because I noticed on both the Bellinger home run single and then McKinstry's inside the park home run, that glove is not, it looks like it's like too big, or it's not all the way down. And so when he gets it into the webbing, it's popping out. So
yeah, you would think that into the webbing it would stick down in there, and that's why outfielders have the bigger gloves like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy watching Tapia, because he came down, he was kind of hurt.
Yeah.
And maybe a little stunned. He's sitting up against the wall, because I think at that moment he thought the ball was a home run. He was just sitting there dejected. I'm hurt, and now I gave up this home run. And again,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then whether somebody yelled, whatever, you see him look to his right and his eyes get big, like,
Right.
oh, and he gets up to run over to the ball. But like you said, by then, McKinstry is pretty quick, and he had
Yeah.
made his way around, and
Yeah.
so they get that.
And I was going to say, Raimel Tapia, I've watched him play in the minors, and he's a really good outfielder, but he had a weekend
Right.
with
It
those
wasn't
two.
lucky for him. They took him out. He actually left out through the opening in the left field wall over there and
Yep.
disappeared for the game. He was back. I guess he wasn't hurt as bad as as it seemed, but or as he could have been.
Yeah.
But I mean, he got up there. He almost robbed 2 home runs because that ball did go over the fence.
Yeah.
And so it should have been. And so while he gets an in the park home run, it really should have been the first. Will Smith has that honor. He gets the first actual out of the park home run with no drama, no sideshow aspects.
It went
to it.
into the seats. Yeah.
Yes.
And the interesting thing too is that the last Dodger to have their first home run be an inside the park home run was Duke Snider in 1948. So Zach McKinstry has joined very good company in that regard.
He's safe.
Another thing with this series, Trevor Bauer, first start as a Dodger. We saw him strutting his stuff. He had the Conor McGregor strut going on a couple of times. He had a no-hitter going, and then I noticed that the Rockies announcers, because I watch their feed, and they jinxed it, and I'm going to blame it on those two guys, and then after that. So.
I happened to be, I was listening and I had run out to do something and was listening to the Dodgers here, and especially because it was a no-no going on.
Yeah.
And both Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday, the radio voices for the Dodgers, mentioned how long he was on base, and that either he's going to come out and continue it and finish it, and he'll be heroic,
right,
or it'll get broken up and everybody will blame him being on base.
The Rockies announcers also, they blamed that too. They said, it had to have been that he was out on the base pads longer, because he ended up, when he was out there, he ended up getting, he had a good bunt. It ended up being, fielder's choice. He got an RBI out of it. So, I don't know.
And then he ended up at third base at some point, right?
Yeah.
So, but he didn't score, so there was no, silver lining to his lost no-hitter. The problem, though, with Trevor Bauer's outing is that while he has this no-hitter going, he's invincible. Once they broke it up, and this isn't an unusual thing.
Yeah.
Once it was broken up, Trevor Bauer was broken up, apparently, because he kind of lost that mojo that he had going.
Okay, I don't know, and I'd have to go back and look and see in the game. But when AJ Pollock didn't catch that ball for that first hit that Trevor Story hit, when the ball came back to Trevor Bauer, it looked like he flipped AJ Pollock off.
Maybe. You just.
And, I mean, maybe it was the way his fingers were in his glove, but
maybe you're seeing something that wasn't there because you wanted to see him.
And maybe, or it's like he would totally do something like that, but I don't think he would to his teammate. But yeah,
maybe
after
it was
that,
just a jest, playing around, joking around.
Well, and you could tell,
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, and you could tell that the players, everybody on the Dodgers, they were being extra careful. They were getting it, and then when that dropped, then that was it, and then he ended up giving up 2 home runs. And the Rockies in this series, the 7th inning was their favorite inning. That seemed to be when they would come out and just kind of start hitting. But the other thing is Walker Buehler pitched. Walker Buehler had a good outing. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, did give up a home run, no walks, but Dave Roberts pulls him. And again, I'm just like, why are you taking him out of the game now when he's still good? Let him go a little bit longer, because then they bring in Jimmy Nelson and he's got control issues, wild pitches. Dodgers barely got that game 6-5. And that's another issue, I have with Dave Roberts. Although on Sunday, he let Julio stay in. Oh.
Yeah, he did. I was kind of surprised by that he did. Yeah, I'm with you that Walker Buehler looked pretty good. Clayton was okay. Trevor Bauer, I think that was a good debut. And too bad that, it kind of fell apart for him at the end, but he still struck out 10 over the game.
Yeah.
He pitched, six good innings, and then, broke up the no-hitter. And of course it would be Trevor Story that breaks it up. Of course.
It would have to be. I mean, he's the guy. Well, and I didn't say too, on another silver lining, or Trevor Bauer has his strikeouts where he donates money to worthy causes in Los Angeles and the surrounding area. And this time it's for STEM programs for kids. So that's, $10,000 for programs. So that's nice that he's doing that. But yeah, it was a good outing. But Dave Roberts, going back to some of his things, pinch hitting for Zach McKinstry after he hit a double with Matt Beatty. What? Okay. Why are you pinch hitting for Zach McKinstry? I don't get it.
With Matt Beatty, who just hasn't been able to do anything.
No, unfortunately,
to start the season.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it's been these first few games. Hopefully, he'll find it. David Price pitched a little shaky, but was able to get back, I guess, in the routine. But you look at him; he hasn't pitched in a year. I guess it's like riding a bicycle. Maybe you're a little wobbly at first, but you get back on and you're fine.
Didn't cost him a game, so that helped. Really out of the bullpen. The bullpen overall, with the exception of Jimmy Nelson, first outing, his second outing wasn't bad.
No,
but not what you hoped. But there was big, high hopes for him and David Price, and then Tony Gonsolin, who's on the IL, I hear.
Yeah.
Out of the bullpen. Really, the pitcher Kinley, not bad. Probably the best reliever over the weekend was probably Corey Knebel.
Yes.
Overall, he pitched, I think, just a little over an inning worth between 2 games and was dominant. I know Victor Gonzalez pitched, so that's.
Yeah, and he was a little shaky too, but he was able, they were able to get out of it. It wasn't too, there wasn't a lot of damage done. Jimmy Nelson, though, definitely needs to. He was reminding me of Joe Kelly. I don't know if he wanted to fill that role. A little erratic. But I mean, I think overall the Dodgers look good, and the other thing is you had Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, and Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, all in this series had days off. So it just shows, how deep the bench is, where you can take guys out like Corey Seager and Mookie Betts and let them set and still win.
That's what makes them the best team in baseball, because they have the depth, and that's always the key. Yeah, Corey Seager, the day off, but still monster series, picked up where he left off last year. 8 hits, batting .667. He walked 4 times, was on base. He didn't strike out at all in the series. On base 75% of the time. So, I mean, that was pretty strong. Gavin Lux, second to him as far as hits. Did have 2 triples.
Yep.
So with the bat, he was good. As we've talked about, the bat hasn't always been his issue. His issue is defense, and he's a liability. And he
Yeah.
showed it in this series.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention is because I hear and see a lot of people still they're so-called Dodger fans ripping on on Austin Barnes, but between Austin and Will Smith, they're hitting combined like 429 when so, and Will Smith has the home run. Austin Barnes got a single, those key hits when the team needed it. So and he got hurt, he got spiked, then he was back in the lineup. But I'm really tired of hearing about Austin and oh, we need to get rid of him. No, he's a good defensive catcher. Offensively, he's coming back around with the help like last year he said of Mookie Betts, and mainly because he's Cuz, so he's got to be there. I got to defend the family.
His point. I mean, proven his place in the team where Will Smith's good, but Austin Barnes I think is a little stronger defensively. Will Smith is a little better offensively, but it's good to have two catchers that you can trust like that you can interchange so they can both play.
One thing I did want to mention, and this is about the Rockies in this series, the last game of the series, Austin Gombers pitched, and he gave up. I mean, they gave up like 3 runs in the first inning without the Dodgers ever getting a hit. And I had to feel for the guy because he was traded. He was the pitcher that was traded from the Cardinals.
Right.
For Nolan Arenado. And so you could tell that he was nervous and I rewatched some of that game and there were boos and I just felt bad for him because
it's not his fault. He didn't choose to come there, especially for that. Why are they booing him? Why aren't they booing management or ownership?
Right. That's who they need to be.
I thought about him too. I said, if he had come out and no hit the Dodgers, everybody would have said, Nolan who? We got this great pitcher for him. But that's not what happened.
Well, that, and then the other thing that I noticed throughout the series was, sorry to have to report this, Rockies fans, but Nolan Arenado just hit a home run. Like, okay, well, he doesn't play for the Rockies anymore, so why do they care? There was just a lot of focus on that. But yeah, it was a weird, wacky series at Coors Field.
Which just went to weird, wacky across baseball because there was a lot of weird things that happened everywhere.
Yep.
So that brings us to our Player of the Week. Who got your Player of the Week honors?
My new favorite player, Zach McKinstry, gets my Player of the Week. He's fun to watch. He's super versatile. He reminds you of, like Chris Taylor, who, okay, you need me to play second. Okay, I'll play second. Put me in left. Where do I need to go? And then offensively, just, getting hits. And then, of course, the inside the park home run. And he's just fun to watch. You can just tell that he is loving being on the Dodger roster. And he really earned it. So Zach McKinstry, Player of the Week for me.
Okay. I thought about Zach. I thought about Corey Seager, but I'm going with Julio Urias as my Player of the Week. 7 innings pitched, struck out 6, only 3 hits and 1 run in that game. He had by far the best outing of any of the pitchers.
Good pick.
Dodgers will play the A's in the coming week, and then on Friday they will have their home opener, we hope.
Yes.
It's when the 2019 champions take on the 2020 champions.
Yes.
For the Dodgers and the Nationals.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
I wish they were they're the Washington Nationals, but they could be the District of COVID Nationals.
District of COVID Nationals. I like that.
Also, the Dodgers are going to be wearing special jerseys and hats Their jerseys are going to be, the logo is going to be trimmed in gold. They are really sharp.
I've seen that, and the hat with the trim in gold. Somebody did say they'd hope that their hats would be like the Royals. When the Royals won, their KC was in gold.
Right, yeah.
And the LA in gold would have been sharp, as opposed to just having a trim around the white.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of opening day. They're going to be getting their rings. They're going to have a tribute to Tommy Lasorda over that weekend. So
on Sunday will be a whole thing with Fernando Mania.
Oh, yeah. Love Fernando.
Since that started 40 years ago this year.
Wow. Holy cow.
And 40 years since the 81 championship team.
That's right. Yeah. Lots going on. Well, hopefully, Dodger fans that were in the corner in fetal positions can now extricate themselves from those positions and
their
get
family
back to
members
life.
are shaking them. It's okay. It's okay. No, false alarm. It's okay. Come look. They just need to show them Zach McKinstry's on a loop.
Yeah.
And they'll automatically feel better.
That's right. That'll get you going every time.
It's better than any drug. Spring is always the best time of the year at Angel Stadium because, especially opening day, before the game is played on opening day, not necessarily after the game is played on opening day, but before, the Angels have a chance to go to the playoffs, to the World Series, for Mike Trout to finally get to see what the postseason is like for more than 3 games. But of course, there's always that little nagging in the back of an Angels fan's mind.
What about me? Oh.
Exactly. That's exactly what's nagging in there. Now, the Angels started off kind of like we talked about that there were others, but right before opening day, different things happened that were positives, like David Fletcher signing a 5-year extension.
Wait. I heard that he retired and is he's going to become a craft milk designer, producer. So I guess it's like craft beers, but it's milk. So this is
because he's very
to
wholesome.
Me. He is, but what kind of milk could he craft? Anyway, but I like the extension and better. Maybe he can do that in the off season.
Well, that's probably what he was doing in the off season, but he decided to take it because that was a dream that he had. Now, the question is, did you notice what day that came out?
April Fool's.
Yep. So instead of that, I guess he put it on hold because they knew he was going to do that. So Perry Manassian offered him a 5-year extension.
They were like, wait, come on, Fletch, come on. You got to come back to the field. Forget about the milk.
Hold off on the milk. We're going to pay you more money over this period of time for you to play, and then you'll have more money to go into the milk crafting business, I'm guessing. So it's $26 million over 5 years, which
is a steal.
It's a steal even now, but imagine what it's going to look like if he plays, like he did last season, the season before, puts it all together and puts himself into a spot to be an MVP. He got 1 MVP vote last year.
He did.
Mike Trout even said he was the MVP of the team last year. They do have 2 club options that could take it to 7 years and the total money up to $41 million. He said, it's not up to me, but I'd love to play my whole career here. So that's great. That's one of those players that you want to see around. Now, the other thing that happened right around then is Ty Buttrey decided that he's not passionate about playing anymore. Just wants to be Ty. He doesn't want to be the relief pitcher. He said he was doing it for the wrong reasons, like money. And while he enjoyed his time, he's done.
Yeah, and he had people earlier in his life that said, "Yeah, you'll never be in the major leagues," and he proved them wrong, and he's done that, and he's ready to move on. So I mean, it's kind of odd, to say, "Oh, he's like 28, he's retiring," but good for him for move on to something that he really enjoys. Because what do they always say? If you love what you do, it's not a job. And for him, he was not loving it. I think early on, he got optioned, and it really wasn't, negative on the part, of the Angels. It was so he could kind of get his pitch back into a rhythm, pitching and things like that. But I think for him, maybe that time off, he just was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just not feeling it anymore.
I don't think anybody thought about Ty Buttrey from a pitching standpoint, thanks to a kid named Chris Rodriguez, who came in, was at the alternate training site last year. In 2019, he was in High A out with the Inland Empire team. And now he is an exciting reliever for the Angels. He is an exciting reliever for the Angels. 22 years old, throws hard, looks good, has a good attitude out there, and is fun to watch. So we'll see how he does. He had a couple of good outings. Now, the Angels opened up against the White Sox, which on one side you're like, cool, we're tired of playing the A's on opening day.
Yeah, and I don't mean to put in the Dodgers in this Angel segment, but the Dodgers and the Giants always play opening day, and that was not happening. So yeah, it was really nice to see somebody different, and especially with the White Sox.
That made it a bigger series because the White Sox across the board are expected by many to be a World Series team. Yep. To win the American League. And we know what kind of team they have. They're a really good team. Their pitching staff was good before, it got better. Now here we're taking on Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, who needs to learn how to wear that hat. Honestly, the funny thing is that when we look back at the series, we're going to think two things. Number one, the biggest thing across the board that most people are going to talk about through that series is going to be the individual performance of a White Sox. And that's Yermin Mercedes, who started off his season. He got his very first hit in his major league career on Friday night. And by the end of the night, he was 5 for 5. By the next day, he was 8 for 8 and had done something that hadn't been done since like 1900 or something. He comes in, goes 8 for 8. Overall, he's just amazing. And this is one of those stories. 7 years ago, he's in an independent league. So he's just a step or two away from being out of baseball, doing something different. And now he's all the way back. He's a rookie, like 28, and he's a rookie. And he's leading baseball with like on base percentage, number of hits. I think he was tied for a number of hits as the weekend ended.
Yeah, talk about striking the iron when it's hot.
Right. Through the series, he went 9 for 14. So he had 9 total hits and 14 at bats. It was Tony Watson, the new reliever for the Angels, who finally got him out. And that was on Saturday night. Overall, another weird series. A lot of strange things happen. The Angels take the series 3-1. This White Sox team, I thought they were that good, huh? Well,
they're in Chicago in their fetal positions.
They're losing their minds there. The problem, a lot of the problem there was a couple problems for the White Sox that we noticed. Bullpen, which they have a really good bullpen, just didn't pitch that well. And they too are saying, I'm glad there's 162 games. When they go to play, I think they follow up and go to Seattle. Although Seattle had a nice weekend to start too. Things will happen. They'll change. When the Angels go to Chicago, I think they're going to see a different team. The other thing was Tony La Russa made some moves that were a little strange, waiting a little too long to make a move. he didn't challenge something in the right amount of time. Like maybe he's a little rusty on how things work
Yeah.
with that.
Wasn't as quick out of the dugout. Maybe. Yeah. It was interesting too, because one of the things, when you think about the two managers, Tony La Russa, who is a Hall of Famer, managing the White Sox, and then you have Joe Madden. So the two managerial minds, going at it, and obviously Joe was the winner of that.
And last season, Tony La Russa was an advisor for the Angels, so he knows him. He knows him pretty well.
Right.
At the beginning, before on opening day, big hug between Pujols and his former manager, Tony La Russa. Of course, they probably saw each other, around the facilities last year as much as they could. Overall, the Angels looked chaotic. They won 3 games, but all 3 were won in comeback fashion.
Yes.
Their magic inning was the 8th inning. It was craziness. Dylan Bundy started out, he started the first game. He was the opening starter. Didn't look bad. He looked decent. What I thought was interesting, though, was that Alex Cobb started the Saturday game. And when I went back and looked just at numbers, and Alex Cobb looked pretty decent, Dylan Bundy and Alex Cobb's numbers were almost identical. The same ERA, 4.50. I was like, is this a Baltimore Oriole thing? Because both of them were Orioles, and their stat lines were almost identical.
Wow.
And then Andrew Heaney, I just had to shake my head and say, he's going to have his good days. He's going to have his bad. But the problem is what he did on Friday night is more about what he does. Andrew Heaney's he's the one who lost. The other 3 starters all got no decisions. Andrew Heaney, though, got the loss. I'm not going to throw him into the fire just yet because he'll have his moments. And we haven't seen Quintana or Canning yet. So we'll have to see. And, of course, those guys will get the asterisks because they're in town. And the asterisks, of course, 4-0 to start the season, which means the A's are 0-4 to start the season. The best pitching performance of the weekend, Shohei Ohtani. One of the top performances of any player, either side of the ball. But Shohei had a great performance, but there was weird things that happened when he was out there as well. There were throwing errors. There was not as many base running errors, I think, as the Dodgers had, but there were a couple of those. And it just, like I said, when you looked at it, it was like, what am I watching here? Because there were moments when they looked like the best team in baseball. And there were other moments where it was like, I think the Pittsburgh Pirates are better than you guys. Because the way it felt. And they would give up runs. So the biggest things happened on Sunday. Shohei's pitching. Comes out, pitches decently. For the first time since like 1903, a pitcher hit second in the order.
Yep.
And he helped himself by hitting a home run in that game, his second of the series. His ERA for the one game is the lowest of any of the pitchers, 1.93. Top of the 5th. Ohtani's still in, still pitching okay. But this is the inning where things kind of get weird. A couple things happen, bases loaded, they score a run, but there's 2 outs. So it's 3-1. We started out 3-0, 3-1, 2 outs. Ohtani's having a hard time at this point. This is all taking its toll. Ohtani's is working through. He's throwing some balls down. He's having a hard time. Finally, he gets a pitch, breaking ball, breaks down. The batter, it would have been a ball, and he would have walked in a run. But instead, the batter swings at it. That's strike 3. Problem is, the ball gets away from Max Stassi. Well, that's the 3rd strike, so the runner takes off to first. Stassi gets back and gets the ball pretty quickly, turns around, throws to first base, but in the throw's kind of in line with the baseline, so Jared Walsh has to move his arm or else it's going to get taken off by the runner. And in that, the ball gets away from him. So another run has scored. And luckily, David Fletcher's behind him, gets the ball, but turns around and throws, and it's a high throw. Otani's at the plate. Well, Jose Abreu's coming in, and Otani has to go up to get it. And as Abreu comes in, they collide unintentionally, but they collide, and Otani goes down. Of course, everybody's collectively holding their breath.
Yeah.
Otani, because he's all of a sudden he's looking like that guy from 2018, this two-way star that we're going to have. And is he going to be out now for a while? Who knows? But the run scores. It's now 3-3. Otani, we don't know how injured he might be. And at that point, Angel fans in chorus were singing, "What about me? Why can't my team ever have this moment where they just win without an issue?" And then it felt like the wheels were completely coming off the bus when Raisel Iglesias, who came in relief, ball hit back to him. Instead of turning and just throwing it to first to get the second out, he turns around. The runner is there was a runner on second, halfway between second and third. He turns around, and instead of running at him, he turns around to throw off the mound to Rendon at third to get him, and overthrew him, which allowed that run to come in and score. So at that point, you're thinking, well, I guess it was bound to happen. We've had our luck. We're done.
And that's it. No more.
It's all over with. But here comes the 8th inning again. And in the 8th inning, we get 2 runners on and Jared Walsh, who picked up right where he left off. He had great series. Picked up right where he left off and hits a home run. Angels win. Angels win. Angels win 7-4. Actually, I was a little worried because that was the bottom of the 8th. We still had to get through the 9th.
Yeah, that's always the concern there. I was going to say, I was following the game and, saw the score, saw who was on base. And I was chanting, double, triple home run, double, triple home run.
The funny thing is that Blanca and I were watching the game, and early on she was mad because they kept making these mistakes. She goes, "I thought we were better than this," and I was like, we'll be okay. Now later in the game, I was getting a little worried, but at that point, I'm like, it's early, and we'd shown what we could do. She goes, and she knows this. She's like, but we're not like the Dodgers. The Dodgers have so many good hitters in there. They've shown over the years they can come back from anything. So you're not worried. I think you and I talked about it, that even in the first game of their series, top of the 9th, they were still in it. Yeah,
they still had a chance. I will say, as a Dodger fan, you do get a little nervous because a lot of times it's always 2 outs, and then they start hopping and popping, and but you're like, but it's 2 outs. Come on. So yeah, there's always some nervousness there, but that's their thing.
Still have the capabilities that when you look at them, that's what makes them a team that you can believe in, and that makes them a championship team, is that it's hard to look at their lineup and say, wait, where's my weak spot?
Yeah.
The Angels are getting there. They're showing that. The weekend, like I said, it turned out to be great. 3-1 over the weekend. The Asterisks coming in to play before the Angels take a trip to Florida to play the somewhere in Florida Blue Jays. Like I said, great weekend. Albert Pujols and Justin Upton both with home runs. Trout was being Trout. He except for the fact he walked 6 times. He's batting over 300 to start the season. He had 6 strikeouts. And that was the thing. When I went back and looked, I couldn't remember. I remembered him walking, but I never really remembered him doing anything that would put him in a spot where he would have those numbers. because it seemed like every time I saw him, he was in a position where we needed something and he struck out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there were a couple of the strikeouts that he struck out looking that the ball was borderline. And they keep calling that low strike on him. He needs to figure out how to go hit that low strike and make him pay for it. Because
work on it. Yep.
So that, and like I said, Raisel Iglesias looked good one time, and then the next time, that one play, I was ready to trade him. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'd have to go and tell Jose Iglesias, your brother, is leaving the team.
He's out of here.
Max Stassi, first home run of the season for the Angels. And like I said, great performance overall by Ohtani. One of the biggest stories of the weekend was the White Sox Yermin Mercedes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was on fire. He was ready to play.
Player of the week, who you got?
So I think he was my last Angels player of the week last season. And so I'm going to pick him again for this one. I'm going to go with Jared Walsh. He listened to me, single, triple, home run. He did it, but he's clutch. He comes in, gets those hits when you need it. He's leading the team, I think, in RBIs, and he's just,
got 6.
Yeah. So, my continuation from season 1 to season 2 is player of the week, Jared Walsh.
I concur fully, Jared Walsh. I had looked at some other things, but Jared Walsh, 4 hits. And I think the thing, I had thought about Shohei, because Shohei had a pretty decent week.
Yeah.
However, Jared Walsh came up clutch. Every time he came up with a hit, it helped the Angels. It wasn't just a random hit. Hit a triple, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 500, hit 500 over the weekend. So I'm with you, Jared Walsh. Eventually, we hope to have the SRBB Player of the Week certificate and a sticker to send out to each player.
Yeah, and these guys, so Jared Walsh, Zach McKinstry, and Julio Urias, will send it, but it might just be, it's a work in progress right now.
Right.
Plus, with us
being
to
start doing the work to make some progress is what that is.
I got the mock-up, but the other thing is if we both sign it, we're in different locations, so yeah. We don't have stamps maybe that's what we need to do, invest with stamps with our signatures and just stamp it.
I always wanted one. I don't know what I'd really need it for, but I always wanted one that had my signature so I could just stamp things.
Ooh, I'm putting that down as early idea for Christmas or birthday.
The Asterix come to town for 2, and then the Angels will start today somewhere in Florida. Time to look at the opening weekend around the league. Of course, big news out of the ATL was no more All-Star game there, which became big news in Denver, that All-Star game there.
Yeah, and the Rockies announcers called it like on Saturday, because they were like, yeah, it'd be awesome. They bring it here. And then they do. So maybe somebody was listening. Coors Field, like I said, is a great place to watch baseball. Crazy things happen. It'll be exciting. The cats on the field, fountains going off. It might snow. Hopefully not in July,
but you never know. That's the thing.
Yeah. Somebody else signed an extension, not just David Fletcher. I have heard of this guy.
Who else is there?
His name is Francisco. That's fun to say. Francisco Lindor. 10 years, $341 million. Apparently went out to dinner with Steve Cohen. Had bad ravioli. Wasn't good, according to Francisco. But He likes what the Mets are doing, and he's there to stay.
10 years, 341 makes up for bad ravioli.
It
You can
does.
hire somebody from Italy, the foremost ravioli chef, to come and live at your house and make you ravioli whenever you want.
Yes.
And still have money left over. Which is huge for them. That came up right before opening day. And then, of course, they didn't get to play.
Yeah. A bummer for that fan base, but
they get to play starting this week. So we'll talk about them next week. The season started off this first weekend with a lot of weird things. Some teams that you thought would play better that didn't. One of the big things that I took note of was coming out of the weekend, 3 undefeated teams. The Asterix.
Yeah.
The Phillies.
Yeah.
And so neither one of those are teams that you were like that surprised by. The Phillies have been building a good team. The Asterix show that last year was kind of a fluke, means the A's are winless.
Yeah.
Joining the Red Sox as winless.
Red Sox played the Orioles, who are now contenders for the World Series.
Right. What do you mean contenders? They're going to the World Series. That's what's going to happen. The Orioles are going to the John Means of the Orioles is going to win the Cy Young. Trey Mancini is going to be the MVP. And we'll talk a little bit more about him in a second. And then, of course, this is the team I think that was surprising was that the Braves got swept opening weekend by the Phillies.
Well, I think too, with the Phillies, when I really think about it, last season, Bryce Harper had some like ridiculous shoes that he wore. And I think they were like lucky. So he went like over the top like of Mount Everest with these shoes for this season. And so I think maybe he just needs to wear those every game.
The Fanatic shoes.
Yes. So we'll post a picture of those on the website.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. Find that on our social media, Twitter, at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, and then Sibling Rivalry BB with the A on both Instagram and Facebook. Put it up on the website, siblingrivalrybb.com. That felt kind of crazy because Baltimore swept Boston. Now, in Boston, 2 things that I want to take note of. Former Dodger Kike Hernandez got his first hit in his first at bat. Other than that, he's been kind of
there.
Yeah, he's not really.
Yeah, and the Red Sox, they did have, so we had the COVID postponement, and then we had a weather postponement because they were rained out. The Red Sox and the Orioles were rained out. So, but we excused them. National unexcused absence. Mets get excused, and then the other Boston and the Orioles get excused absences. If they have more than 10 unexcused absences for the Nationals, they're out of the league. Oh,
more than 10. I say more than 3.
I was thinking of the school.
Oh, no, they're out then.
Yeah, they're gone.
Because they didn't play during the weekend, and the Monday game has been postponed.
It's gone.
All right,
so
no Nationals. Everybody in the American League is going to get at least, or in the National League East, and the National League period is going to get at least one series of wins. So 3 to, 6, probably 6 to 19 wins.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Maybe that works out for the Braves too, because that's who the Nationals are supposed to play. So the Braves get a minute, figure it all out. But yeah, they couldn't get a win there. Blue Jays took down the Yankees. Oh, and to go back to Baltimore real quick, the Baltimore-Boston thing. Trey Mancini, if you don't know who he is, he's been around for a while, battling colon cancer. He's overcome it. And this was his first game back. It was cool. homecoming. Boston, the Red Sox players were hugging him and welcoming him back, and it was really, there was a camaraderie I noticed around baseball, with the exception of the Reds and the Cardinals. Overall, there was a camaraderie around baseball where everybody was just kind of happy to be together and celebrating. I think they were happy to have fans in the stands.
Yeah, the fans in the stands, I think, was probably the biggest thing for me for opening day, watching, all the games, and, even if there were boos or whatever, but it was still hearing the crowd noise. I really missed that last season. One of my favorite stories on opening day is from Detroit, where it was snowing, and it was 32 degrees at game time. It's a balmy 32. And Miguel Cabrera hits a home run, but it's like a blizzard. And the ball is white, snow is white. He doesn't know he hits a home run. He thinks, there's a play. It's going to be at second base. He slides into second base, and then the umpire's like, "Hey, it's a home run." He gets up and says, "Oh, okay, thank you," and then runs the rest of the bases.
Finishes his trot.
Yeah. Now, after the game, you think reporters, they might get like one question. I don't know who this was, but they said, "Hey," and maybe it was because it was April Fool's Day. I don't know. They said, "Hey, are you used to playing in snow?" And he's, "Oh yeah, we used to do it all the time in Venezuela, growing up in Venezuela." So that was one of my favorites.
Because that's what Venezuela is known for.
Yeah, especially as he pops up and he's standing at second, and he's like, oh, okay, thank you. I have a home run. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing with Miggy, because he is such a prankster that you don't know. Was he fooling around?
Did he slide in just to slide?
Tough outing for Shane Bieber. See, that's another one of those things. Tough outing for him. He still struck out 12.
He should have struck out 20.
Right. And so, tough start for the Indians. I didn't note that, but the Blue Jays, I said, took down the Yankees. They did it without their big off-season acquisition as well, George Springer.
He wasn't on he wasn't on the opening day lineup. I guess he has an oblique injury, so not there on the IL. And that was another game. It's like, oh, the Blue Jays, they took down the Yankees and they're heading to the World Series.
Right. Well, we picked them to win the East.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I was happy with their win. But it's funny how, you're so excited for opening day, and then, you have the doomsday fans and the, the glass half full, half empty kind of people that there's just no middle ground.
Nope. Middle.
Weren't you telling me a story about the Giants and Mariners game, and the 13-year-old who went to bed, and I can't remember what the...
Right. So when he went to bed, the Giants were up like 6-1.
Oh, that's right.
And then when he gets up the next morning, the Mariners had a come from behind win and a walk-off. Yeah. 7-6. And he's like, "The bullpen sucks. This team stinks." And it made the dad was laughing. He goes, "Oh, baseball season is back, and I couldn't be happier." But he was just out of his mind that the Giants bullpen blew that game. That when he went to bed, it was 6-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
you never know.
Once again, fun weekend overall. The different things that happened. There were some feel-good moments. There were some surprises. We talking about Seattle, Mitch Haniger, who was Rookie of the Year a couple of years back, back and strong, looking good. That really puts Seattle in a good spot going forward. Still think that they're if the A's continue to play like they're playing, then they get to move up into third, just because the A's are in last place right now. And who would think that the Rangers would win a game before the A's?
Yeah, exactly. I said the other thing that got me too is, we talked about the big trades with San Diego. Darvish was the opening day starter for San Diego, and he just got knocked around by the Diamondbacks. He went a little over 4.2 innings. He had 8 hits. He gave up 2 home runs. He did have, 6 strikeouts, but not anything what they were expecting, I think, out of Darvish. But then to contrast Darvish, starting day opening pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Madison Bumgarner, he only lasted 4 innings, had 7 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs, gave up 2 home runs, and also had 6 strikeouts. So you had 2 pitchers that are, when you think about pitchers, you're like, these guys are up, they're up in the top.
Upper echelon, yeah.
And it was not about pitching that day.
Feels like Mad Bum is on his way out.
Yeah, I think he, retirement is probably very close or in his future.
And he's not even that old, really. I mean, when you look at it.
He's not, yeah. He's not.
I thought he was older because he'd been around so long, and because he's been such a big name, I thought he was older than he was, but he was like 30. I'm like,
yeah,
and you're already having these issues.
Yeah, but he has the, that persona, like, get off my lawn, kind of
the old guy persona.
For the old guy persona. So, but yeah, he's he's on his way out. So that signing, when he was free agent, we knew he wasn't going to be with the Giants, but it was interesting to see those 2 pitchers have very similar outings.
Right.
Padres ended up winning that game 8-7.
The Padres look like management looks like, well, maybe you went a little too far with Darvish. But the next day for the Padres, Blake Snell came in and proved that he was a great acquisition. He had a great outing.
Yeah.
And then later, hometown boy, former Pittsburgh Pirate, another guy that they picked up, Joe Musgrove, had every show that I watched that did a highlight on them were just gushing about Joe Musgrove and his outing. And he did. He had a pretty good outing.
But and so you look at those guys, I think you expect especially with Blake Snell, because what he did in the World Series, to be good. And so if he had come out and not had a good outing, then it would have been like, then they would have had the buyer's remorse, or however
there would have been another run on antidepressants, just this time in San Diego.
Which just goes south.
Could be. Heard that Tatis has an injury, and we don't know any details to share at this point. We'll do that next time if it's bad, but I'm sure that they're all sitting there ready to pop the cap on whatever antidepressants they're in. I don't know, or they're all getting their mask, their little face thing up to put like in the commercial for one of the things where they got the little happy face.
Yeah, but they're really not
on a stick.
Yeah, well, and he had Tatis Jr. had, I think, 5 errors. I mean, he was not.
He was on pace for 162 error season. Yeah. We'll see what happens with.
So
with him.
That's an interesting. That's too, because he just signed a big contract extension with San Diego, and he really is. You think about the Padres. He's the face of the Padres, but really he's becoming the face of baseball.
Right.
With the A's, we talked about them being winless. Trevor Rosenthal, that was a big pickup for them. He's on the IL with with a shoulder injury. Not really sure, And then the other one that was a big one with the White Sox, Tim Anderson had a hamstring injury in the Sunday game with the Angels. He underwent an MRI, so that'll be interesting to see.
The thing with Tim Anderson. And for a minute, I almost thought we were having a flashback to Andrelton Simmons. Anderson's running down to first base. He gets to first base, And when he comes off of the bag, you could see him kind of pull up lame, and kind of limping off. And I remembered this because I'd seen it like that before. And where they showed it, they never showed an angle where you could see, did he turn an ankle? What he did. But A-Fraud was talking about, because, he's the expert ball player.
Yes.
And before I say this, my disclaimer is A-Fraud wasn't too bad during the game. They talked up both sides. It didn't seem like they were leaning one side or the other. Of course, they were gushing about Shohei, and he gave them something to gush about. And like anything, when the announcers talk great about your team, you're fine with it. When they talk bad, they're idiots.
Fire
But
him.
he went on about how, because it was the first play of the game, and he said, at the beginning of the game, they've just wet down the field. So sometimes the bases still are a little wet because they've just finished right before. And so he said he could have hit the base and slipped or something and then they started talking about why the bigger bases will be better. And I said, stop being the lapdogs for Manfred. All that's going to do is Manfred everything up. Well, and that's what he was talking about, and that's what made me think about Tim Anderson. I honestly thought about bringing it up earlier, and I forgot. I went past it because I got excited about Jared Walsh, I guess.
Well, and one thing, when you said they're talking about the bigger base, he could still slip on the bigger base. He just slip a little further.
So a bigger bag just gives him more space to be wet and more space to slide. So maybe next time he slides more, tears his hamstring. Mm-hmm. Or an ACL, or it becomes something. A bigger problem. But when I saw that and him come off like that, I just thought Andrelton Simmons 2 different times, stretching out to hit first base, has hit that bag and twisted his ankle. And
right, yeah.
I saw Andrelton playing for the Twins a couple of times, and he's Andrelton. So there's that. Buster Posey, another player, had a great week. And
nice to see Buster back. I like Buster.
He definitely looks, of the players that didn't play last season, he probably looks the best. Yeah. He took advantage of that time off.
One thing that we need to talk about is there is already a suspension in Major League Baseball.
I was holding that off. Before we do that, let me throw out one more injury.
Okay.
And this one's a tough one. Pittsburgh, their Rookie of the Year candidate, Brian Hayes, injured and out for indefinitely at this point.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing for them because he was their one hope.
Right. He was the guy.
And now he's out. So now we go to St. Louis, Dateline Great American Ballpark, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Saturday.
Reds versus the Cardinals. By the way, Rockies fans, Nolan Arenado is now a Cardinal.
Sorry to have to tell you that.
Actually, he hit a home run. Now let me tell you before we get too much farther, because we talked about the Rockies and Josh Fuentes.
Right.
Nolan was 5 for 13 with a home run, 3 RBIs. Josh was 2 for 13 with a home run and 3 RBIs. So the only difference is 3 hits.
That's it.
He's got a higher batting average, but otherwise they both drove in the same amount of runs.
That's it.
And they both had a home run.
Yeah. We're going to find out that Josh Fuentes is really a robot that the Rockies have constructed, and they made up the story that they're really cousins, and
right. He's really programmed to be, and that's why they let the real Nolan Arenado go.
Yeah. They got the robot.
They have the robot that they don't have to pay anything.
Right.
All right. So Nolan Arenado makes his debut there. They're wearing the Cardinals were wearing their powder blues.
Yes.
And Yachty was all powder blued out because he had the chest protector and his shin guards. They were all powdered blue, not red like the Cardinals would be. And then something happened. And in fact, it has become a big controversy.
Yeah. It's, as in that Saturday game, they had benches cleared, but it all centered around Cincinnati Reds right fielder Nick Castellanos. It's all his fault, even though he really wasn't the instigator in the bench clearing brawl that happened, which, sorry to tell you, Colorado Rockies fans, Nolan Arenado was also involved in that bench clearing brawl. He got a little, he scored a run, Nick Castellanos did, and he taunted catcher Jake Woodford, or the pitcher, sorry, not the catcher. I was
going to say,
the pitcher. Yeah, the pitcher Yachty obviously would be Yachty. Yeah. Jake Woodford, he taunted him. It was too much taunting. And Yachty
had words.
And Yachty had some words.
being a great catcher, coming from a great catching family.
Yes.
Benji and Jose, world champions with the Angels. He stood up for his pitcher. Now, that may have caused some issues, and he didn't have any issues with him. But, he's like, I don't know what's going on, why there needed to be a conversation about it.
Yeah. The MLB has had this, let the kids play, ad campaign, but you really don't let the kids play. And the Cardinals, they don't, they are rule followers, and they, as
right,
Yachty,
it's like in Beverly Hills, how the cops do everything by the book.
Yeah. So Yadier Molina comes out. He pushes Nick Costa. So he physically pushes him. That's when the bench is cleared. But Yadier Molina, maybe because he's Yadier Molina, he's not ejected. Nick Castellanos is ejected, and now he's suspended for 2 games.
But not for fighting. For that.
For being the instigator of taunting.
And for COVID protocols.
Right. Yes, of course.
Now, part of this, too, is he got hit by a pitch.
Right. He got hit on the shoulder.
And then there was some talk about that. He picks up the ball in this is like Max Muncy Bumgarner thing. And he shows him the ball. Yasiel Puig and Bumgarner. Almost anybody in Bumgarner, it seems.
Right. Pretty much.
But he shows him the ball like, hey, you want it back? Like, go get it out of the ocean if you want it. But he's like, you want it back? He never made a move towards the mound. But all this just built up. And then when he came in and slid, when he scored that run, that opened everything up even more. And it's just silly.
Yeah.
Why are you going after Castellanos? And why are you going after him when he didn't do anything more than anybody else? And he really didn't instigate. Yachty instigated.
Yeah, but he was, according to MLB, he had aggressive action. And the interesting thing, too, is he is the only player who has been suspended. Now he is appealing his suspension, his 2-game ban. There were fines that were issued. He got a fine, so he got suspended and a fine. Jesse Winker and Suarez and the Cardinals, Jordan Hicks, Yadier Molina, and Nolan Arenado were all fined. But maybe in the course of this appeal, if they go back and look and see that Yadier Molina was really had the aggressive actions, he might maybe end up, possibly suspended. But I don't. Knowing MLB and Manfred, he won't be.
No, the only thing they can do at this point is just let him be fined and do away with the suspension. I don't think that part's fair. If you're going to fine them all for their parts in it, because he was part of it.
Right.
He didn't just turn around and walk away. He was jawing at him.
It's interesting. We always, I think I always go back to the asterisks. And he's suspended at this moment for 2 games and fined. And Asterix got nothing. So he gets a worse, punishment for playing the game, really, just playing, than what the Asterix did in cheating. And it's just not right.
Well, Trevor Bauer tweeted something to the effect of, here baseball goes again. They want us to be emotional. They want us to really be spirited. And here they go again, encouraging that, it's sarcastic, something to that effect. That's not an exact quote, but
and he had tweeted out, I think he was kind of doing a poll or something, would you like to see the NHL style, fights? I'm sure there are people that would love to see that. I don't want to see that.
Only if right before the batter and the pitcher run at each other, they have those big gloves on and they throw them off so they can.
I thought you were going to say only if they wear like those sumo wrestling suits.
Oh, that would be fun too.
And then they just have to bounce the bellies.
How about this? In COVID times, they could wear those big balls.
Oh,
those
yeah.
Big, inflatable balls, or whatever, and run at each other and bang into each other.
Yeah,
and
they'd have ones
like that
at the dugout, ready. And then when you're going to be in a brawl, you jump in.
You run and jump in, and you guys go, and then whoever pushes the other guy off the field into the foul territory, or whatever, or into a certain area.
Yeah,
they win the fight.
I think, you want more viewership, you want people watching, that is going to get people watching.
That's for sure. See, why aren't they doing the gimmicky things? Having a bigger base isn't going to make somebody more excited about going to the game.
No. You need the guy like they have at Isotopes who comes in riding a Roadrunner with his blonde mullet and his cannon, his t-shirt cannon, and that's what you need. Or hot dog cannon, but the problem with the hot dog cannons is sometimes the wrapping comes undone, so the bun goes one way and the dog goes the other.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast.
Remember, you can find us on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB.
We're also on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. Email us, show@siblingrivalrybb.com. We'd love to hear what you think, so subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to our podcast.
Next week on SRBB, we have our proton packs ready to go as we look for the weird and wacky in baseball.
Unless we get abducted by aliens.
Keep your eye on the ball.
And swing away.